guys, Laura with Garden Answer. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really pretty holiday wreath. Making a wreath actually doesn't require that many supplies. I'm going to be using a 18-inch wreath form. I wanted to make kind of a bigger one this time. And then of course I'll have my clippers out and I'll be using those quite a bit. And then a 22 gauge paddle wire. And that's really it other than the greenery. But I did pick up this really pretty letter monogram. I thought it would look really pretty hanging from the center of the wreath when I'm all done. We'll see. Might use it, might not. For greens, I'm going to be using some green spruce, some polar gold arborvitae. We say arborvitae in my area. You might say arborvitae. I think it kind of just depends on what region you live in. I've got some spring grove arborvitae, a little bit of soft serve chamaecyparis, which is one of my favorites. We've got some berry heavy winterberry holly, which that completely speaks for itself. It's so pretty. And then there's some berry heavy gold winterberry holly that's really pretty. And a few dogwood branches. I say few, I mean a lot. We've got some Arctic Fire dogwood branches and some Arctic Sun. I think both of these will look really pretty worked in. The first thing I like to do before I actually start making my wreath is to make piles of each individual branch grouping that I have. So I'll make just small cuttings, of all the nice looking ends, and I'll just make a pile of everything. So I'm gonna do that first before I get started with building. All right, I've got all my piles ready to go, and that makes the process so much faster. When you've got everything cut kind of to size, you can just grab, make a really pretty bundle and roll. So the first thing you need to do to get started is to attach your wire. And you just do that by just simply feeding it around the outside of the wreath form and just making sure it's attached really tightly. There's really no art to this part. I'm gonna wrap it around a couple times, pulling it tight, and don't cut the wire. We won't cut the wire until the very end. This will just leave toward the outside of the wreath form here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just grab a bunch of stuff and make a really pretty bundle. A little bit of spruce, little cedar, maybe a couple branches, a little bit of the gold arborvitae. Just look at the color difference, look how pretty that is. And a really pretty branch full of berries. So this is a nice looking bundle, and that's really all wreath making is making really pretty attractive looking bundles and then attaching them to your wreath form. You also want to make sure not to make your bundles too big, otherwise your wreath will get out of control and you'll end up without a center hole. So just kind of make them relative to the size of your wreath form. So if you're making a smaller wreath, make smaller bundles than this. So once you have your first bundle made, you'll just set it down, lay it down right on top of where the wire is connected, like so. And then wrap your wire around 3 times really tight. To place your second bundle, just move down the wreath form a little ways, and we'll want to make sure to overlap the first bundle just enough to cover the mechanics where we attached it on. And we'll go ahead and flare the second bundle out toward the outside of the wreath form, kind of like this. And then we'll take our wire and go around 3 times, really tight. To place your third bundle, you'll just move down the wreath form again, but this one we are going to face toward the inside of the wreath just slightly instead of the outside like we did with the second one. And that's basically how we'll continue to construct this wreath. So the next one will be faced out, then in, then out, then in, then out, all the way around to the very end. So we'll speed this part up. The wreath is almost done, but I went ahead and stopped right at the very end because this is where people tend to get tripped up on how to actually finish the wreath. So a lot of people will actually stop here, and this is where they'll put a nice bow, or this is where they'll put the wreath hanger to hang it on a door, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to finish it. So your last bundle will be quite a bit smaller than all the other bundles you've been using because we're gonna just fill in this tiny little gap right at the very end. You just wanna lift up the top of that very first bundle you put in there and then ease this one underneath. Kind of like that. And then you'll take your wire and just guide it through just slowly. Go slow on this part so you don't pinch any of the greens down that you don't want to have down. And you may have to do more than 1 bundle at the very end, and I think I'm going to have to do 2. So I did my first one, and I'm going to do 1 more that faces inward so it looks even. I'm all done, and I love how it turned out. I'm going to go put it on my door. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.